Hello and welcome to day 4 of Giant Bomb's Game of the Year Deliberation Extravaganza. You ready to keep talking about video games?
I love
Yes.
talking about
Yeah.
video games.
This is all I know.
Yeah? All right, we'll get ready to talk then. Because we have 4 categories to get through. Here they are. The best debut. Best. Oh,
I was like, wait.
you named the category once upon a time. I figured that would.
Yeah, no.
It's best style.
Maybe we all do it as a team. What, on a 3 count?
Best.
1, 2, 3. Actually, I don't want to do this category anymore. I'm doing
sounded disgusting.
yeah,
Pretty gross.
best style.
Best new character. And best story.
Best. I was like, you motioned to me, and I was like, best me? Hooray! It's me again.
Sorry.
Hooray!
I thought you were looking at the categories. All right.
I'm looking at hardcore pornography over here.
No,
This
speaking
is
of
important Game of the Year material.
speaking of
Yeah.
best debut,
This is Zebra.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Humanimals.
Wow, this is a stinky one.
Mm-hmm.
Be warned, there will almost definitely be spoilers today.
I'm out.
As we're talking about the best story and best characters and blah, blah, blah. So tread lightly. Be careful if you haven't played stuff yet. Best debut
Yeah.
is a nicer way of saying best original IP.
Yeah.
Best game that
Here's the
ain't been
thing.
made before.
It's not a direct sequel.
Yes.
It's not necessarily.
Best original property.
Maybe you took
or
a
something.
chance on,
Yeah.
on a new idea.
It's a thing you never made before. Or nobody else ever made it either.
These games tend to not have numbers at the ends of their titles. So-
Tend to.
Tend to, yeah,
There
I'm
you go.
sure.
Usually. All right.
Arctica 1. There you go. I came up with one.
Disqualified. All right. Here's what's on the list. Hollow Knight, Neo, Battle Chef Brigade, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, Horizon Zero Dawn, Dream Daddy, Pyre, Night in the Woods, Absolver, The Sexy Brutale, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, ARMS, Cuphead, Mario and Rabbids, Rivals of Either, Snipper Clips. I'm not reading that subtitle. Kingsway.
The subtitle's half the fun, though.
Say it.
If you cool yay it,
Yeah,
it actually
yeah.
works
Yeah.
out a lot better.
You got to do the hand motions,
Yeah,
too.
the cut it out together.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kingsway, Bury Me My Love, and Million Onion Hotel.
That's a number in that title. Disqualified.
Million. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Made a lot of this.
All right, go ahead. Cut it.
I really like 999,999 Onion Hotel.
Oh, 999.
Yeah,
The one with all the
999,
choices.
yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of people
All those
talk about
onions
that.
murder each other. It's all-
Make bad choices.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
what is best debut if not a game like Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present
It was very
Horizon.
refreshing. Like,
It is
after all that
refreshing.
Killzone, it was refreshing.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a good game.
I do, yeah.
I think it's a strong contender. I don't know that it's going to make it all the way through, but I don't think that's one that we would cut right out of the gate.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's one we
Yeah.
should cut right out the gate. Arms.
Yep. Yep. That's what I was just about to say.
Yep.
Get that right up
Before
there.
we started, I asked why it was here.
I said.
Man.
I think my response was, it's not a sequel, so I wrote it down.
Yep. It's kind of all right.
I wish them well on Arms 2 if they make one, because I feel like there's some ideas
There's a
there.
foundation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
And also not on the list is stuff like For Honor, which that
was cool. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Observer.
No, that game's super fun. It's just post-launch stuff like just getting that shit like leveled out. They never got on their feet. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They
They never got on their arms.
Yeah.
Boo.
Boo.
and like Tokyo 42.
Tokyo 42 is cool.
It's got a number at the end. So
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's the
probably
42nd
sequel.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
That's the Thimbleweed Park, anybody?
I like
No.
Thimbleweed Park.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a remaster?
No. It's an
original
all-new game.
Oh, I see. They just was like homaging it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's also the people that made those games 30 years
It's an
ago.
homage to
Right.
themselves.
So they're allowed.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, allow me to present to the court Cuphead.
Yeah.
Yes.
probably
Yes.
a
That's
strong
Cuphead
entry.
probably is going to be on this
Uh-huh.
list. Yes.
Do we need to discuss, or should we move on?
Put an asterisk next to Cuphead,
I think that's
please.
like we move on and come back when
Yeah.
we are a little
Yeah, what's this
narrower.
thing? What's this thing we're doing now? Where we're mentioning the ones that feel the strongest
Yeah,
first? Because I feel like that's not how we do
Vinny's turning
this.
this whole thing on his head.
We're trying to make these categories crazy.
This is my best debut.
I get the sense that too many people burned out on Mario and Rabbids halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us did.
I really
yeah.
liked it. I think it had a cool splash. Like nobody expected this.
Yes.
But also, I didn't finish, and I will never finish.
Same.
I think I was maybe the one that was least bothered by the end game of anyone at this table, and I still think that, it probably doesn't belong here overall.
All right. It's
Cool
gone.
mashup, though.
It is a very cool
Yeah,
thing.
the things it does well, it does very well.
It'd be nice if they made another one of those.
Agreed.
So I started Million Onion Hotel. I've not played as much as I assume Ben. I think it's pretty cool, but there's some pretty stiff competition in this category.
Yeah, sure.
There is.
It's a beautiful game.
It's awesome because it's it's a new developer. This is their first game. They put it out. It's $3. You can download it. You don't have to pay any more money into it. You can't even. So I think it's a really strong I feel like this company, granted this game sells, has a long track of putting out some cool iPhone games.
I feel like I still don't even know what that game is as
So
I
you
play
got
it.
it. The best thing you can do with your time is getting as many knights as you can, because the bosses, when their shield is down, you gotta. But so you can only get the knights when you're in double, triple, or miracle time.
Always.
The fruit is a distraction. The fruit, you do not want to get the fruit because you tap the fruit and you don't give yourself a miracle opening. I'll talk to you
Boy.
after this.
All right, yeah.
I would briefly just mention, though it definitely does not hang overall, Observer was a cool thing.
Yeah.
That was especially from a company that had only made that Layers of Fear game, which was all right, but not anything super special. I think that is a very strong thing that they made. And if they maybe had gotten a slightly more enthusiastic Rutger Hauer to voice that main character, maybe it would have been
That wasn't
more.
even my main. I didn't mind the voice acting. I more had an issue with the end of that and how many chasing sections there were. It was unnecessary and not fun. That was my main issue with that.
I think that is also very fair.
Yeah. I really loved Bury Me My Love, as we talked about on day 3, but maybe it doesn't hang with some of these other ones. I don't think it'll make top 3. I think it's very good, though, but it's maybe better for best story or something.
Oh, Brad.
In its place, I have typed that. Although
Okay.
I don't know that it would hang here.
I hear good things about this cannery.
Yeah.
So that is the best moment of the game, but a good
I-
chunk of the rest of the game did not click as well as that part.
Even
does.
as a very short game, I found myself struggling to get through it to see
I was always interested in where it was going,
Exactly.
but in individual scenes,
Yeah.
some of them, this sounds mean. I hate to use this word, but parts of it, parts of the writing and voice acting, came off as a little amateurish to me.
No,
or
I
just
know what you mean.
I think 3/4 of it work, but the quarter that doesn't maybe stands out a little
it's
more.
like maybe 3 or 4 of the little stories that.
Right. Yeah, they're I think overall I really liked it. I liked the journey, but there were also a few questions that didn't really get answered for me. And there were definitely a few stories from this story's not for me. I don't like this story.
Yeah.
And if we want to get technical, one of those characters was in what's the Throw the Paint? Last
Splatoon.
Star Child. What?
Passepartout.
The lighthouse. The everything's goddamn unfinished
Swan?
Unfinished Swan.
Oh, Unfinished Swan.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. All those drawings are from areas in Unfinished Swan, and
Really?
they're insinuating that that brother
wow.
did all of his paintings, and he went into his paintings and everything, and because I really liked
Wait,
Unfinished
are
Swan.
they implying that you played as him in Unfinished Swan?
Yeah, as that brother.
What?
Yeah. Because
Oh, 'cause
all
he
the stuff is
vanishes.
art. Yeah, it's all
what?
art and stuff.
Oh, I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
hey.
I mean, look, a loose tie-in to a previous
The-
thing is maybe not necessarily
he does
disqualifying.
he does keep
Developer-
saying hey.
The developer confirms the Unfinished Swan Easter egg is canon.
There you go. It is the second Unfinished Swan
Get
game.
off
Weird.
the weed.
I think even without that,
Never.
it probably isn't top 3 here.
I think it's good.
Yeah. I enjoyed the game, but
It's very cool.
I look forward to what they do next.
Is Snipper Clips good enough to
Snipple
say?
clips.
It's a clever,
Clipples.
it's a clever little thing, but it's not top 3.
Snapper
here.
clamps.
It mostly is carried on the strength, I think, of being probably the best little multiplayer thing that existed at the Switch launch.
Right. I think it was a timing thing, but I
Yeah.
think if it came out now,
Yeah.
we'd
It
be
was
okay,
good.
cool.
It's still really cool.
Yeah, totally, but-
It's not top 3.
Can we cut it out?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Cut it out. We'll do it together.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
too late.
All right.
Oh, shit.
Got it.
Oh boy.
I
Rivals of Aether. I can't help but notice it's a lot like the Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's heavily inspired by it. I just think it's a really strong offering by a new studio. You know, the head of the studio was formerly of the KI team, so he's got that fighting game pedigree there. It doesn't have to hang on this list. I said hang. I was like, in my head, I was like, don't say hang anymore. I don't think it resides,
Lives.
on this list. Other than that, they have put out a really strong foundation. They're constantly updating it with really innovative characters, and I think I'm really happy to see where they go from here.
Yeah, and there's a ton of other competitors that are up and coming as well.
Yes.
Rollout and such, and you've played a lot of these types of games. This one stands.
Yeah, this is the one I've been sticking with. This is the one. I had a friend describe it as the Guilty Gear of platform fighters because it has that attention to detail and character variety that you would expect from a Guilty Gear game.
Yeah,
But they
that's
look
the
like Neo
impression I
Geo
got.
Pocket sprites.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
When you were showing it to me, that's the impression I got. It's like, it's like every single character is crazy different. In that game.
Cool. Kill it. I'll kill it.
Okay.
Yeah, kill your children here.
Boom.
Ooh.
Guys, is PlayerUnknown's Battleground one of the best debuts?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it the same game as all those other ones?
Yeah.
Still an original game.
It's the first.
Okay,
it's the
I
first
understand that
core
it is
product.
technically an original game, but boy, oh boy, is it not unlike all those other games. It just happens to do a few more right things than all the other ones.
It's the
PlayerUnknown's
one that's stuck.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the first game officially released within the now popularized battle royale genre, and while it may have existed, I think, as mods and functionality and other things, what that game did to spawn a trend and also siphon off a whole lot of the people sitting at this table's time this year, I think more than qualifies it.
Also, it streamlined the formula to the extent that we actually cared about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can reduce any of these games to the previous genre. Like,
Yeah, but you can reduce this one literally to a mod in another game.
I don't see how that matters.
I mean,
doesn't.
Cuphead, you jump on platforms and shoot bullets from
Yeah,
left to right.
Cuphead
So, like,
is fucking Gunstar Heroes.
it's
Like, we know.
It's like Gradius.
This is maybe a more direct thing because some of those people did that sort of stuff, but it is technically a different thing.
Just
They
doesn't
made
feel
those
like a
games for
debut to
someone
me.
else, and now they make it for them. If someone like spun off from a fighting game company and made a similar but technically different fighting game, we would count that too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I think I definitely don't think it should be disqualified.
Yeah.
It's just I guess it's what the category means to me is like it's a fresh new experience.
At some point, it's
kind
like,
of.
is it
I
best
use the words-
debut or is it most debut? Because this is maybe like
Yeah.
slightly less debut than some of this other stuff.
Like, there's a reason we keep harping on best original IP because that's literally what this is. Like,
Sure.
if it's not a sequel, it's eligible here.
And that said, I do get where you're coming from. I just don't know.
I don't
that
agree
truck
because
with that.
the only other, what's the only other manifestation of this thing? Like King of the Kill? Because I played that thing and I fucking did not like it at all.
There's that battle royale mod for
Arma, like that's
Arma.
dude. Like I,
And there's the culling. There's
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
stuff that came.
Yeah.
This was certainly not the first style of this kind of game.
right, but they do enough to streamline it and strip out crap like crafting from King of the Kill that I didn't want anything to do
Yeah.
with, and just make it like you just get to the good part like immediately.
Like, I wouldn't disqualify another first-person shooter because there are other first-person shooters. Like,
I'm just saying I think it's selling short what they do with this.
I agree.
That
yeah, it's like what is a bad. You know what? Let's just
move on.
I was gonna make
All
a really good point, but
It's too good. And just go over all
it's
our
not
heads.
going to hang.
I don't think Hellblade makes the cut.
oh man,
I agree.
I agree.
I kind
Yeah.
of agree too.
man.
Cool ideas, but it just
Vicious,
did not feel
Like,
savage
yeah.
cut.
If I liked Hellblade more, I would maybe fight for it more. I think that it has some good notions, and I think that from a performance capture aspect, like that thing is pretty
fantastic.
revolutionary. But
That
And
game
to
is
tackle a
great.
topic like that with such care and
That game is fantastic, and you're all wrong.
yeah.
I think the way it sometimes goes about trying to tie in its mental health themes is maybe like ham-fisted. Mm-hmm. The audio design is great, the visual design is great, but some of the other stuff around it just did not do it for me.
Also, the combat,
Yeah.
not so good.
Yeah.
I, just didn't,
like,
I
that's
did
the
not
one-
like
that's the
the
one
game
part
part of that video
No
game very
I'll
much.
cop to. I mean, it's fine. There's just not much to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right. And it gets, I remember it feeling very tedious after a certain point, especially when you sort of start to see through the ruse of like permadeath.
Mm-hmm.
It made the combat hard to swallow
Yeah,
because it's
I can see that.
the tension is completely gone and it's just boring.
I think Battle Chef Brigade can ultimately go. I think it's a good game. It's a very cheerful and pleasant one, and I enjoyed it. But having finished it the other night, I think that campaign needed more room to breathe to tell the story they wanted to.
I agree with that.
It felt truncated in some very specific spots.
I think that this is the strongest category that it would appear on
Yes.
of all the ones we have, because they do such a good job combining two very different styles of gameplay in a way that I haven't seen many other. This would be under most to debut
right.
again.
Agreed.
They combine two forms of gameplay that I haven't really seen done this effectively kind of ever. But yeah, I do think overall as a game, it seems really like a really, really good proof of concept.
Yes.
Just left me wanting a little more.
I think they mostly deliver on, just not all the way.
I still love the look of it in so far as it reminds me of a fake video game.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that video games are look good enough now to look like fake video games. If that makes any sense.
It does.
Are PUBG and Cuphead locks?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting.
I don't think I care for.
I'm at least going to put them at the top of the list.
I
for
think there are some cooler games than PUBG, but I think Cuphead for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here thinks Cuphead shouldn't be on here.
Yes.
Anyone?
now. I actually like Cuphead has not done it for me in the way I hoped it would, and I like some hard games, but for whatever reason, that one has not grabbed me too much.
The color blindness has made me reluctant to play too much more of it.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard for me to parry stuff.
The pink stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you on some of that. I think I just play the boss enough to see what they are doing for
Sure,
my first time out, definitely. And
Right.
and like even when I was playing with Ben, I had to ask him a couple of times. Or again, like I'm playing with my kid a lot, so I'm just hey, which one of these is pink? But I'm with you. Like the time we did that roller coaster boss, and like, oh, his nose is pink. And I was like, I would have never figured that out.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That is kind of problematic.
Is anyone going to go to bat for Neo?
I will totally go to bat.
Neo's
for
really
Neo.
good.
Neo's fantastic, and even though it's kind of derivative of a Souls type genre, it definitely breaks from that mold and makes it more of an arcadey kind of game. At the same time, there's a high level of fucking difficulty in the combat. Like you can really spend a lot of time, just working out the rhythm of combat, or you can go just mash through it or whatever. But at the same time, like I really liked that format of the Souls style, like mission-based stuff. I like the different stances in combat. I like all the different weapons. Some really cool characters and boss fights in there. Lots of neat systems, like after the fact, as far as crafting and
There's like
there's a ton
different
of stuff
weapons
going on.
feel really good. Like the different stances and stuff feels really good. Of all the games that I've just played a little bit of this year that I want to get into more of, Neo felt the most fresh in a way.
Yeah, and like I said, it's very similar to Soul stuff, but there's been other attempts at that, Lords of the Fallen or something like that, and those never really hit.
Yeah.
This one totally hit for me.
It seems like the people who love that style of game and are into that kind of thing really do appreciate Neo.
Well, one of the cool things about it is that that I didn't even realize at the time, and initially I was like, "Oh, this doesn't seem like a very good thing." Is that it's broken up into levels?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like you pop out to a menu. It's not like it's a big open world thing the way a Souls game is. Like you come out to a menu and you select your next mission, you go do your crafting and all this other stuff, and then go back in. And it ends up making these areas, I mean, they're like a little repeatable or just like also a little more compartmentalized. So you can get away from it.
They'll definitely remix stuff, though.
Yeah. And you'll have these challenge missions, or was it like night mode? Is that
More Twilight mode.
Twilight?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, where stuff gets super hard, but it's it's a risk reward kind of thing.
They do a lot of really cool stuff with it that helps break it away, I think, from being like a simple Souls clone the way some of this other stuff has been over the last couple of years.
So far beyond that, I think.
I think the combat's really exciting in that game.
That said, Absolver, I'll offer that one up.
Wait, to cut?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like here's my case for keeping it in. Like I think they did a really, really good job of integrating this style of combat, and the novelty is that you're kind of traveling the land, like learning new martial arts styles from people, and you learn that by fighting them, which is really, really cool. And I think they really pulled that off in like the single player concept. But as soon as you get to a point in the game where you have to like start playing online against other people I think it really drops the ball there. There's not a lot going on in that.
Yeah.
I finally got there not too long ago, and
is it active? Are there a lot of people playing it?
it's hard to tell, because it's kind of instance based, and you'll only see some people.
Did you have a hard time finding people to fight, or
No. You actually like queue up. Like in that case, it's very much like a fighting game. Where you actually have like one-on-one competition.
That's weird because in the main game they just match people into your world.
Yeah, it's got like kind of that journey style to it.
And I
think it's a really cool concept.
I respect that game a lot.
I do too.
But man, is it dense.
Yep.
It's really hard to get into.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
at the end of the day, like I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like an incredible amount of depth that is maybe more than I
just wish that they had, and like I get, there's something to be said about games just kind of being obscure, but I think there's a point in this game that I hit, like post-tutorial, or depending on what you want to call the tutorial, but you kind of get out into that world where you start seeing other human players, and there's a real, like, I feel like that's where they kind of drop the ball in terms of like, okay, now what do I wait? Okay,
yeah.
Like I said it on the podcast, over the last few months, it's like every direction I could walk in, it was just combat that was over, like I was in way over my head. Like here's 4 guys for you to fight all at once, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I can kind of kite these guys back so I can take them on one at a time, but that seems kind of broken, or feels like I'm breaking the game to do it.
In like a martial arts style game like this, I think it's suited for one-on-one combat.
Yeah.
When you get into multiple fights like that, it's definitely tough to mitigate.
Yeah, it
but
breaks
you
down
do have a
for
lot
me
of
too.
moves in your moveset that you learn that can help alleviate that, of course.
Yeah, I think if they had just done a little better, because it's not like the game has no training, right? So I think if they had just like gone a little bit further with that stuff, I would feel a lot. I probably would have spent a ton more time with the game because
I'm totally with
like
you.
the way it handles
I love the look of that
concepts of
game.
like
Yeah.
learning the moves and stuff. I think is like I love games that do that.
It's really impressive that they pulled that off. But I think at the end of it, they didn't stick the landing.
Yeah, it's got some
but yeah.
amazing ideas.
That's my case. I think they did a great job on a lot of stuff there.
I feel like the execution isn't quite there for me.
So I don't think I've seen any of this. It's a like MMO fighting game?
Not an MMO as such. It's more like martial arts Dark Souls.
A little bit of journey in the beginning.
Yeah, because they match people into your world seamlessly.
And you don't really, there's no dialogue so much, when you're talking to those people, but you can join like a co-op game or you can choose to fight them.
The tone is very Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
there's very little dialogue, there's no speech. It's very quiet.
Seems really
and
neat.
mysterious.
Got a really good like minimalist look. Everything's
look
like
is cool.
angular and
I like the art design on a lot of the armor.
Yeah.
The character design stuff is good. The fighting system is like incredibly complicated. in like not a bad way, other than it's just hard to get your head around.
Just dense.
Yeah.
All right.
Because like you're building your own combos and you're learning moves but from enemies using those moves on you, and like you learn them faster if you parry them effectively, and like there's just a ton of depth.
All right.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it does seem kind of.
Yeah, that's the thing. It sounds like a deeply ambitious thing
It's
that maybe
super
just doesn't
ambitious.
completely hit
Yeah.
every note.
But I'm kind of with Jeff on some of the tutorial stuff. It kind of lost me at a point.
I feel like there's not going to be a great deal of support for Hollow Knight all around. Like, I think that's a really cool thing. Kind of came out of nowhere, and for my part, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. But it doesn't feel like that's a game that the people at this table like have any real deep love for in that regard.
That's fair. I wish I played more of it because I really did love it a lot. And I wish it was on my Switch, but it's on like a computer that I can't be playing here.
Yeah.
But I really liked it a lot. I think it does a lot of cool stuff. But I think it's fair that it probably won't be top 3.
It's a game I admire.
Yeah.
me too. And like I don't like a ton of games like that, but I found myself playing a ton of Dead Cells this year. And that's in direct, competition with
Kind of in
something
parallel
like
there, yeah.
to Hollow Knight. Yeah.
So are we taking Absolver off, or?
Yeah.
I think I made my case.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
As best I could.
Ben, how about Kingsway?
Oh yeah, really cool. It goes for its style, and I think it nails it. It just kind of in the same vein as is Battle Chef. It left me wanting a little bit more. For those of you who haven't seen it, it takes place all inside a fake like Windows 95-esque operating system, and it does some really cool stuff where like the windows will start to move around, or like shadow assassins will minimize windows while you're trying to click on stuff. So it's a really neat concept. I think they knocked the style out of the park. You have to load up your MIDI player and start playing music for there to be even music in the game. A lot of little touches like that, but overall, yeah, just powerful, but a flash in the pan, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I started feeling some fatigue with that when I died and had to start over a couple times, and eventually it was just like, I don't want to do this again.
It's just like Nier. Just like Nier.
That was maybe a little bit of how I felt kind of getting deeper into the Sexy Brutale. Like, I think the log line for that game and the core concept is incredible.
Totally.
I think the puzzle design, after a while, maybe starts to wear out its welcome a little bit. And
did you guys finish it?
I did not. Like, that's the thing, is I kind of got...
Yeah.
I hit a wall with it, and I was just like, you know what, I'm good. And it's not like a super long game.
Yeah, I could tell from the menus, from the number of like characters, it was going to be pretty short, but I still didn't get all the way through it.
I still hit a wall with it eventually, and I was just like, you know what, I'm kind of good where I'm at. It's a really neat thing, and conceptually, it's very like it's trying a lot of different things, and I think it's surprising how many of them actually work.
Yeah, I think there are 3 other things on here that I would put above it.
I have, however, just moved it down to the next category.
It is actually already on there.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Now it's on there twice.
Okay.
Bo.
Rutro.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we left with here? Battlegrounds, Cuphead, Neo, Horizon, Dream Daddy, Pyre, Night in the Woods.
This is starting to get a little tougher.
At the completely playing devil's advocate, what does Dream Daddy do over other visual novel style games?
I would consider it more of an adventure game over a visual novel style game. There are like gameplay aspects for each date, absolutely.
I'll say it's funny. It's funnier than any other visual novel thing I've ever touched.
The writing is incredibly good. It's heartfelt, it's touching, it's very funny. I would say that it's almost less a game about dating and more a game about like your relationship with your daughter in a lot of ways. It's good. It also does a lot of really weird, fun stuff. Like you can die in the game. There are multiple deaths.
Leash.
In like a fun way though. It's
I love dying too. Yeah, I get it.
It's like
fun.
Funny. It's fun. Yeah, it's like unusual for the style of game.
It's like filling up the swimming pool in Maniac Mansion.
Right.
Like the weird ways to go out of your way to end up dead.
And there's like a secret cult ending that you can get if you like hack into the game. This is like in the code, like a real thing. Huh. Like Dream Daddy does a lot. It's incredibly polished. The writing, I think, is the best I've probably seen this year. Like the writing is so good. It's so funny. It's consistently good. And the cast of characters is really good. I don't know. I just think all around it's a very good game.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But I would probably pick 3 other things above it for this. I think it is a very good game. Also, like, I wouldn't know what things it does differently than other visual novels because I usually don't play those. But this one, like, kept my attention.
Yeah,
so,
I
like,
would say
that's probably the biggest check in my book.
Right.
Like,
I have a similar thing. Like, I think I probably have more patience for visual novels than a lot of folks here. But I would say I'm not normally drawn to them.
Yeah. I think it is it's an exceptional product.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It would be in my top 3, but I think I'm a minority in that. So that's fine if we want to drop it.
Yeah, I think me personally, I just feel more strongly about the other games on this list, with the exception of maybe like Neo, which I haven't really played.
I feel like a lot of us are really lukewarm about Horizon.
I'm pretty mixed on it.
Yeah. The thing with Horizon is when I was playing Horizon, I loved Horizon, and like when you total it all up, I think Horizon is a fantastic game. But past like, I have zero passion for Horizon.
Right.
Like it did not impact me in any real way. You know, it's a quality experience. You know, like the things you're doing, pretty good. Looks great. There's some really neat story elements. They do a pretty good job of tying up the story by the end. Better than most other games, and that's cool. And by the time it was all said and done, like I moved on from it, and it was like, okay, yeah, I had a good time with that. Done.
I feel the same way. It's like the moment I like my controller's in my hands and I'm playing it, I'm having a great time. I'm not getting bored or anything. But and part of this was the Zelda effect that it came out like
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And that kind of broke it up. So
Yeah.
I played like most of the game before Zelda, then I played Zelda and came back to it, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is
it's hard to
pretty
go-
by the book.
Yeah, some of the other open world games this year expose some of the limitations, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's some good little moments in
Yeah, totally.
Horizon.
I think the
some
story
good
is really well
characters
done.
I think
yeah.
I think the combat's fairly unique too.
It is unique. It just doesn't work for me as well as I would
Yeah.
like. Like, I love the idea of like trapping these guys and using elemental effects on them and like tying them down and like shooting pieces off because that affects what they can do to you. Like, it's a super interesting idea. I just don't think it doesn't feel as good as I would like.
The thing I'd say, I guess, is that I feel like I got too good at that stuff by about the halfway through the game, to where like, yeah, you can trap them, but unless you're doing the hunting challenges where you need to do it all very quickly, you never need to do that.
Yeah, I didn't find the combat very fun. Like if I had to cross a big field or something and I saw a bunch of things walking around, my first thought was like, okay, hopefully I can just avoid this because I don't want to fight.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Not because I'm trying to be stealthy and it's challenging in that way. It's just that I don't have fun doing the combat.
Sure. Yes,
I
that's
took
kind of where I'm
to I
at.
took to stealth kills with that because you take them down really quickly and,
Right.
and you can whistle them over to you and you can
Yeah, it's-
exploit it a little bit.
It's
almost.
actually, I assume you can't stealth kill the bigger ones ever, right?
I guess
Or
not.
do you get abilities
Yeah.
because
I
the
think you
bigger.
can like stealth hit them.
Yeah,
but you
it
can't-
does.
It'll do significant
Yeah,
damage.
I kind of find the bigger the machine, the less I want to fight it.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. I've had some
Yeah.
like long ass fights
Yeah.
with giant machines,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
more often than not, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I
I
think
really. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was saying, I think the thing to shout out here is that, shout out to Guerrilla for making a thing that is so far removed from the thing
Totally,
they were made
yeah.
their
Yep.
mint making.
I really like the world they created. And
Yeah.
I want to finish it to see where the story goes.
And I'd say one of the best bows in gaming over the last handful of years. Like the upgrades are interesting. The
Yeah, you can do that like extra notch thing.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. It's a really good bow for in a game where you would think because you're targeting these very small spots on these things like that would just become a hassle. Like the upgrade tree mitigates that in a way that makes the bow fun to use.
And the focus and everything. It all
Yeah.
works
I
really
like
well.
a lot of the tools too, like
Yeah.
the tripwires and that big like Gatling gun thing you get
yeah.
eventually.
I think they were all very creative. I just didn't really like using most of them. Like I just never got into those systems in a way that made me want to keep doing it.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, I felt like you barely needed to use half the items you had.
Yeah.
I'd feel okay cutting Horizon.
Yeah, same.
All right.
How do you guys feel about Pyre?
I would like to keep it on here.
I feel very strongly about Pyre. I also feel very strongly about Night in the Woods.
I've only played about
Yeah.
half of Pyre.
Yeah,
I like
same here.
I like what I've played so far.
I think Pyre for me was a weird concept to start with the weird apocalypse, like American Gladiators dunk ball. But I actually really wound up liking it by the end and the different characters and like a team and the way they kind of towards the end of the game make you use characters you didn't necessarily use because they're ascending the characters that like the more you use a character, the more they are qualified to ascend out of the wasteland? What's the
The downside.
down.
The downside.
so like the more you use a character,
Right.
the more likely you are to have to lose that character and use somebody else. And that's like a cool mechanic.
That sounds actually pretty terrible. Like you're investing so much time in this character,
But
and building them up,
I think
giving
it's
them
about
experience.
it's about hard decisions, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you're not building them up because you want to use them in combat. You're building them up because the whole point is you want to send these people back.
Also, yeah, they're basically being punished by being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
it's a mercy for them to leave.
I want a better team, though, man.
Well, so right, you get a good team, but then you have to learn to. I mean, it would be pretty boring if you just did the same moves all the time.
Also, the other weird element of that game that is maybe a little undersung is how little it actually matters if you win. Because the thing is, like, you can play that game trying to win every game, and that's fine. But like if you lose a battle, the person from the other team goes home, and that's very much factored into the plot depending on how that goes.
Yeah, don't you never replay a battle whether you win or lose it?
I mean,
Doesn't the story always
you
keep going?
can restart battles if you want to do that,
you
but
Doesn't
can
it
keep-
warn you like you
don't
can
have to
keep
do that.
going?
Like,
Yeah.
weren't you saying you can lose every match in the game? And
I believe you
still-
can.
and still just keep going and get to the end.
yeah, I think so.
Like that's kind of fascinating from like a narrative design that it's that flexible.
Yeah, very much does call out like, hey, you don't have to
Right.
reload this. Like, you can keep going.
And I mean, like we know we generally like Supergiant games, I think, but coming off the heels of Transistor, which was a game that I think most of the people at this table were at the very least a little bit disappointed with.
I
I
on some
like-
loved
level.
it.
I like
have
Transistor a
no
lot.
complaints.
I liked it a
know.
lot.
I absolutely love Transistor.
I mean, for me, Transistor was kind of a big letdown, and I was a little worried that Pyre was going in a direction that might be similarly a letdown. But like, I think it's their best game.
I really like Bastion.
I think
But, Pyre's also very good.
Bastion is still my favorite
yeah.
of their games.
But I think Pyre, the trappings, the like weird mechanics mixed in with the way they do their text on screen, their info dump stuff.
there's some
I think it's really interesting.
like
tricks.
Wikipedia style.
Like the hyperlink type stuff in that game.
It's
and,
really smart.
And
It's
even
really smart.
even just the fact that you hover over text and get other text.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
like that part where they don't have to like
It's
go
almost like-
out of their way to do exposition because it's like in context.
It's almost like they annotate their own writing
Right.
in
Yeah.
a cool
Yeah.
way.
That was cool.
It's very creative. Like, not that this is most original game, but like this is definitely the most out of left field like mashup of
genres
you know
and
like,
styles.
like
Yeah,
a visual novel and like a weird mystical sports game, and
I mean,
the world they create is super unique.
It's like Battle Chef.
and it blends well. I think like it blends very well.
kind of
is,
yeah,
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
is.
no, it's in the same neighborhood. I think as Battle Chef. for
Yeah,
sure.
like these two tastes that go great together. Like
Yeah.
it is it's a thing that I, even after playing at a couple of events, was like, I'm not sure how this is all going to work out, but somehow they make their mystical basketball make sense in this world
and feel
that
impactful.
actually feels like it feels completely natural for their mythology they've made up in this world of like, yeah, of course, yeah, you got to wear the masks, you got to do the rights.
And there's like neat little things like, you know, if when what's the Rufio?
Rookie.
When Rufio asks you like,
Rufio was in this game.
do you like this mustache? And you say no, he'll go shave it. Like there's a lot of really
he
neat
gets a
narrative
stat boost.
things in
Like,
here.
There's other stuff too where I think almost like Dream Daddy, the kind of investment you get once you play the other characters a lot, like you realize they're a little bit deeper than maybe they seem on the surface. Like that, what's the river bottom team, the horrible dogs.
the I forget exactly what they're called, but yeah, the punk rock dogs.
Like, you get their backstory in like kind of an interesting way, and like kind of learn how everybody got there. And it's not always just terrible. Like there's one team that is just heartbreaking. The like old dog that
And
is
his
there.
adopted son.
His adopted son, and he just wants to leave, and the son just wants him to leave. And then like if you face him and like you beat him, like he's not going anywhere. And it's like basically like, I ain't got much time left on this earth.
Yeah,
and,
well.
like I just want to leave. And it's just like, can we just let the old dog win? And it's like, no, I got things to do. I got a plan.
Like some of the rivals are definitely just like, hey, here's your Cobra Kai dojo that you don't like and you don't want to necessarily let them win. But there are others where they actually imbue a fairly deep sense of like, hey, there's a pitiable element to them that maybe you want to show that pity and actually maybe help them out, which is a thing that you don't ever see in like competitive games like that.
And they're just going to need to get better at Magic Hockey then.
Seriously. But as just stakes increase too, and it's like it becomes aware that the rights are ending, like that whole thing ramps up of like, hey, this is going to be the last game. If you don't get out, you're all stuck here, which is like a little rough for maybe the people who have to stay there, but also I think a great narrative hook.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Alex, I'm with you on Night in the Woods. It's a game that captured the feeling of like youth, like being lost in your youth. It dealt with like themes of mental illness in a way that I think like even Hellblade and other games don't even come close to. I liked all the characters a lot. I feel like the world that they built felt incredibly real.
The things that game hits on for me, it's very much the story, but it is also like the larger ghost story thing that sort of ties into the main plot. Like that kind of goes in a direction I wasn't expecting, but I ended up liking a lot more than if they'd just done something like very boilerplatey, kind of like haunted,
Scooby-Doo
Right.
villain.
Yeah, and also like that game to me, like there's a confidence to it, and the way that it sort of builds out its scenes and like frames its shots and just sort of like presents every little aspect of that game to the player that is like really surprising, especially from Alcoholica has made like Aquaria and other games before, but like Scott and Bethany, who full disclosure are my friends, like they had not made a video game before.
Yeah.
And the writing and I think the design of that game shows an unusual confidence from like a first-time studio like that.
Like all the mini games made me feel like I really wanted to do well in them, like the band practice stuff, and like I felt like I'd be letting my friends down if I didn't.
It's a good variety. I for me it was there's an authenticity to the way it's written that comes across the way like, hey, this is how a group of friends talks to each other when they're together, especially if they've been apart for a little while. I look at that and go like, yeah, you know, if I was with some friends of mine and we stumbled upon a fucking arm, that's how it would go.
Yeah.
Poke it.
Yeah, that is exactly how that would go.
Like everybody in that game feels like a real person.
Yeah.
And like feels like they have a real like character and background and story. And
Even like the mom and the dad get their
especially
I love
yeah.
them both. Like,
those
everyone has
interactions
a
are
voice.
great.
Yeah.
Great.
The mom has so much personality and feels so much like, honestly, a lot of the conversations I have with my mom when she's sitting there watching fucking, you know, one of her many murder shows on TV.
Yeah.
And, you know, it definitely had the kind of like homey feel to it.
Yeah. I would say I guess I would probably do Night in the Woods over Dream Daddy.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm good with
I want
that
to play
too.
more Dream Daddy, but
It's so
Likewise.
Good.
Okay.
It's so good.
All right, are we cutting Dream Daddy?
I think so.
I guess so.
All right, nobody wants to cut PUBG or Cuphead, right?
No.
I mean,
I
I
would-
could
I would-
I want to
do
cut
without
PUBG,
I wanna
but
cut
I
PUBG
understand.
too.
This list is getting rough in a way that
I
makes
know.
me like, yeah, man, I don't know.
I
Any one of these games can get it.
I feel deeply about a lot of games on this list, and I'm still have a hard time reconciling how you let go of Battlegrounds, considering
Yeah.
the impact that thing landed with and how much
totally,
time we spent playing
Totally.
it.
I think those are credit to it being a good game. It's just, I guess we all interpret these categories slightly differently, and for me, it doesn't feel like a debut in the same way as maybe not every other game on this list, but I can look at 3 other games on this list that feel more like a debut to me, and it's
But
Cuphead, Pyre,
I feel like
and Night in the Woods.
you're like calling the genre into question, and all of these games have way more entries in that.
Yeah.
In the
It's
genre
not-
in
Maybe
question.
Pyre, but yes.
It's not just the genre, it's the fact that like there's like not a single thing in it I can point to that is original.
I mean, but
That's
sometimes
true of
that's
all of these
that's
games.
No,
Yeah.
that's not true of all
It
these
totally
games.
is.
But I would even argue, like, yes, but that sometimes that's even harder to take an existing thing and put them pieces
Yeah,
together in a
that's
way
fair.
that is more appealing than
Especially
previous things.
shooters. When you think about like the history of competitive shooting, you know, even beyond like the last decade where it was just Call of Duty and Call of Duty derivatives, like it's crazy that after 20 years of shooters, someone came up with something that like has an even wider appeal than Call of Duty maybe ever did.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
the
certainly
number of
does at
copies
least
sold,
now, I
you know,
think.
whatever. Not that this is like best sales or whatever, but I think it's really a testament to the quality of that thing.
Like the
that they-
accessibility.
Yeah.
In
That
a-
I mean, they made a game about fucking hardcore, no respawn, like minutes gone by. Like they managed to make that compelling.
With one of like the most drab art styles I've maybe ever seen in
Totally.
in an action game.
With really janky physics and
Yeah.
just like I don't.
I think you're breaking that game down to its component parts in a way that you're not applying to the other games here, because they can all be reduced to common elements if you really want to go there.
My argument against Battlegrounds, and I don't think my argument's going to stick, is just I just didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
Like, I think I found it boring more than I found it, like, tension-filled. Like, more often than not, I was just, like, itching to find people. And then usually when I did, it was very unsatisfying. And I would say even when I got my chicken dinner, it was pretty unsatisfying.
Well, it's because you kept dropping at the school. I mean,
I like getting spicy.
well, see, that's
But you know, I had a lot of different
yeah.
moments, and then I had a lot of fun moments with it too. But I would say all in all, I didn't love it, and I do think a lot of why we played it so much. Yes, everyone loved it, but also we had a feature on it that literally everyone here could play at the same time.
I mean, that didn't stop a lot of us from putting
No,
in like
Yeah,
tons
like
of hours.
I was
into
at a point where I was only playing it while we were streaming it, but like I feel like every time I looked at my computer on a weekend, like half you fuckers were playing that game.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's totally fair.
and going hard on it in a way that even I was not.
Also, the only reason we did that feature as long as we did is because we liked the game so much.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair. I will say, I don't love that game, but I can definitely see why it's in the top 3 here.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
denying it's a force of nature for sure.
So is it between Neo, Pyre, and Night in the Woods for the bottom?
I think it is.
Unless someone wants to make a case for taking Cuphead off the list, which I think is like a
I
hard
can't.
I think
So, in a
Cuphead
way,
is
that's my
numero
winner.
uno.
Yeah.
I think even if you break that game down to its component parts and you make a case that it is just doing a familiar thing, like that is a game that could have failed to deliver on the things it was promising so many different ways, and it really didn't. Like it hit just about every note the way you thought it was going to.
Yeah, and I may be the least enthused about that game here, and even I think that it would be crazy to cut it.
Yeah.
For as much as I really do enjoy Neo, I'm having a hard time reconciling it against the arguments for the other two games here.
I'm not in my heart at all, but I haven't played enough of Pyre to push that one over. I bounced off that one.
Pyre?
Yeah. The fantasy basketball ice hockey wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
It's a weird concoction for sure. And the mix of those parts, not necessarily something that I'm really interested in. I will not deny the beauty of that game. It looks really good. I like the setup for that game a lot. I'm not sure that I love playing it. And that's as far as I can go. I really like Night in the Woods a lot. I know I'm going to finish that guy up. Yeah. I would like to see Neo on here. I'd be super happy with Cuphead, Neo, and Night in the Woods. Yeah. But there's that PUBG effect, man. I don't know what to do about that. I can't do anything about that.
Embrace it.
Yeah, it is a force of nature.
You can only hope to contain it.
Yep.
I've been thinking a lot about it lately. Like yeah. Like I've started playing it again. Like I kind of stopped for a couple of months there.
You playing on the test server, or
I am now. Yeah.
Okay. Is that test server stuff? Is that going to be what's
that is
the actual game?
Well, so that is the vaulting and the new music and UI and all the other stuff. Like they are still rolling stuff in.
Right.
Like as of this recording, we're 3 days
you guys
away from
played
them.
a ton of that stuff, or
I played like a couple rounds of the vaulting out of Windows. Enough to see that vaulting out of Windows is very fun.
Okay, I hear
it's
very,
fucking really good.
everything I hear about the vaulting sounds very promising.
But you also realize how many windows are barred up that can't be shot out. But like there was definitely, like when I was trying it, had like a nice little Benny Hill chase around the house. I was like, somebody was racing me upstairs. I vaulted out a window on the second floor, ran through the bottom, came out the door, ran back up, and then I got stuck trying to see if I could climb up on the ceiling. And
it's one of those things that like no one will even think about it.
Like once 1.0.
Yeah,
in
in a couple weeks here, because that will just be the game.
Yeah.
Nobody will remember that it wasn't there.
Right.
There's also a kill cam now. I don't know if you guys know
Dude,
that.
that's huge.
It's
Holy crap.
It's really good.
It's really cool.
Does it just show you the person, or does it replay what you're
replays the
playing?
last 10 seconds.
Oh, that's great.
So you get to see them setting up and murdering you.
man.
Which is good too, because you get to see yourself. It's basically like being caught on the bathroom, on the toilet.
You're like, oh, here's how I fucked up this time.
Stupid
Like just
guy.
watching Vinny trying to hop up on this roof, and the guy walks out the window, just instantly
You
shoots him.
laying in a field, just like just sitting there laying while a guy
Like,
just
it's
walks
so
up to you
obvious,
and like
yeah.
just drops a brick on your head. Like, yeah,
It seems like
it's a little
it's
embarrassing.
weird because it seems like the sort of kill cam that might actually help you get better at the game once you see
that sounds
the
huge.
dumb shit you're doing.
Which I also think is very good for trying to alleviate some of the cheating and hacking. Because if you could see how something
yeah.
goes,
Oh,
report it.
right.
Just like
Yeah.
report it.
So,
So I think those improvements are pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been that game has been back on my mind in a big way, in a way that I did not expect.
I'm amazed to hear the vaulting is actually good, because like the movement physics are so fucked up in that game.
It's weird. I think it's also got enough like risk reward where you move slowly enough while you're climbing to make it not something that is a get out of jail free card from a situation. Like you definitely can get picked off while you're trying to do it. You're not super fast. I don't know. Like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is something I feel like the industry will be trying to chase down in the next 3 years as we need to capitalize on this. And to me, that's kind of important. And I think that speaks to why so many people were drawn to it in a way the other entries in the Battle Royale, genre have not done.
I don't think we'll be talking about a game like this next year.
Battlegrounds?
Yeah.
You don't think you'll see more Battle Royale games?
I think we'll see a shit ton
Yeah, we'll
more.
see a ton of them.
That's the thing, is that like
It just mean none of them will make the same impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and that's my point, is that even if this is just a star that burns very bright very quickly and then burns the fuck out, like I think that the way that it did is absolutely worth recognizing in that regard. And it doesn't matter if all anyone makes is a few crappy Battle Royale games and then it just goes nowhere. Like that thing mattered to this year
Totally.
in a very severe way.
Yeah, I think we're going to see somebody do it even better. I think it's going to
Probably.
be a Dark Souls-like kind of spawning
Also, I think
point.
this individual game has legs. Like,
Yeah.
they've barely started.
It just seems to
making
hit
it.
on so many things that a lot of bigger companies are chasing, like multiplayer. Like you'll see this with burn cards and like loot boxes and all that stuff.
And that'll be terrible.
Yeah, it's going to get ruined in a way that kind of
I look forward to it.
people
100
chase Dark Souls.
stormtroopers parachute onto Hoth.
I like Night in the Woods as the third.
I do too.
I like Pyre.
I could throw in with Night in the Woods. It's very good.
I would do Night in the Woods over Pyre.
I would do Neo, but
I want to play more Neo really, really bad.
I really do
Play
like
Night
Neo.
in the Woods.
I've played a little bit of Night in the Woods and a little bit of Pyre. Both of them annoy me in different ways, but I think Night in the Woods maybe annoyed me less.
Put that on the back of the box.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the thing that maybe tips it in Night in the Woods' favor for me is that it is like, a first effort from a group of developers that have not worked together
Yeah,
before.
that's great.
And the way that they nailed it is very surprising and delightful. And Pyre, there's a pedigree behind that. And, even if whether you like Transistor or not, like the thing is, what kinds of games they make. And even if this is kind of a departure from some of that character action stuff that they were doing before, like, I felt like I kind of knew at the very least that game would be okay, and I love it. It's awesome. But I think Night in the Woods maybe hit me just a little bit harder.
I think for me, like I have not a negative thing to say about Night in the Woods, but I think Pyre just engaged me a little bit more. I think the action sequences in Pyre I just grew to really like, and I know they're not for everybody, but I also think it's a little bit riskier.
That's fair.
Than they put an action mechanic in their story game.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
With
And
like a shocking amount of depth.
yeah.
with an odd amount of depth.
Yeah.
Like the
Like,
move
it's kind
sets
of
in there
insane.
get kind of
That's actually
interesting.
one of the things I love about Supergiant consistently
The
is that
technical-
you can always tell that they're made by people who used to design RTS games.
Yeah, it's got almost like this strange, to me at least, like almost fighting game
totally.
element to it, where you're trying to counter other people's, the size of their aura or the speed of their moves or their super moves. That I really enjoyed. But again, I think in that risk, it turns people off. So like, I think it also, if you can play it and then just not like it, you just bounce right off of it. Where I think Night in the Woods is a very relatable story that its risk is in being, hey, I'm going to tell this kind of story without shooting anybody, right? Like without a huge action scene, right? And that, I think that is in itself is a big risk.
I also think that game, like, it gets dialogue and that sort of like interpersonal kind of dialogue between friends right in a way that a lot of games try and do not. Like, yes, it can be a little bit quirky and a little bit precious in places, but like the ways in which that quirk comes across feels very much like the in-jokes of a small, tight-knit group of friends who, are maybe not averse to giving each other like weird shit. Like,
I don't want to sink Night in the Woods here, but I will say that everything we're saying about the dialogue in Night in the Woods is what everyone said about Clerks.
Oh man!
I mean,
I just want to put that out there.
Clerks is also the only Kevin Smith movie that to me still kind of holds up.
Yeah,
so
I'll give you that. I mean, I like Mallrats, but what are you gonna do?
but I think this is more Clerks than Mallrats.
I would hope so. Also, it has literal clerks in it, so
Greg is a clerk.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I lean Night in the Woods.
Yeah.
Me too.
That seems sensible to me. But all three of those remaining, yeah. This one's fucking hard.
We got some good original stuff this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like Pyre, but I don't dislike Night in the Woods. So like,
I keep meaning to go back to Pyre, but there's just something I can't explain why. But every time I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to play a game I haven't played before, it's never Pyre. I always like go in thinking it's going to be Pyre, but I'm just like something about like.
I had a little bit of that with Night in the Woods, but I think mostly because I feel like I need a stretch of time to sit and play that game.
Yeah.
That feels like I'm not in any kind of rush to play something else.
Yeah, it helped that I just decided Saturday I'm going to play like 2.5 hours in the morning and 2.5 hours a night of Night in the Woods and get it like done in a day.
Yeah. And like with Pyre, it's a game that I can also play at my pace. If I'm very good at the space basketball, then like I will beat that game faster. Whereas Night in the Woods is something that you're not trying to beat it as quickly as possible or to do well at it.
I think that's why I liked it. Like, I feel like it made me play the game differently, because there are moments of that game where someone would be like, oh, I just lost my job, or like overheard a conversation, somebody else was like, oh, we're like filling in this position. I was like, oh, I need to go like get this person to get this job and like help out the town. But it's like, that's not that kind of game.
Yeah.
And I was trying to gamify it in a lot of ways, and it was nice to have a game that like forces you to just chill out.
Yeah, I mean, right. And that's, like I said, I don't really have a bad thing to say about Night in the Woods. I just think Pyre engaged me more.
I think Night in the Woods does like the interactive story thing really well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not without falling back to being like a visual novel or some other like directly recognizable thing. I think they hit a lot of the same or some of the same notes.
Like to me, like it was very appealing. It's like an adult Richard Scarry world.
Yes,
which is like very cool. So like I'm not sad to see Night in the Woods if it makes this list. I would be sad to see Pyre go, but I understand if the mechanics of the combat were too complicated for everybody here.
Believe me, I'm not happy on any level to see Pyre go, but I think that's just where I would tend to lean.
So is it...
Jason, should we join hands and take our games and hold them to our chest and walk away from this category?
Send them back to the city.
You can have these two puppies as your... Oh, Jesus.
Dude, I already have cats. I can't have anything else.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
my
fair.
God.
I'm roofing my balls.
They're so cute. They're so cute. They jump over one another and stuff. Oh, you guys don't even know. Okay.
I would have gone Pyro with you, Vinny, so I'm with you.
Okay. It's a very good game.
But it seems like there's a lot of support.
I would almost take Pyre over PlayerUnknown's or Cuphead, but it's not. That would be a very, very hard choice for me.
I'd take Pyre over PlayerUnknown's.
I might
would
take
too.
Pyre over Cuphead personally, but
No way.
But I also think that the argument for Cuphead is too strong.
I'd probably take Pyro over Cuphead.
I think that's our three.
So what's our one?
PUBG.
Cuphead.
No, I think it's Cuphead.
No,
It's
Cuphead.
PUBG.
I think Cuphead made a very big splash as well.
Yeah.
Like,
A well-made side-scrolling platformer with a cool art style is just... It's cool.
Compared to like an asset
think
flip
it's-
Okay,
looking
we
game.
can't.
Much
We
more
can't
than
criticize
that.
the game for bringing
No,
it
I'm
down
saying
that,
like
and
I'm
then-
just saying like it didn't do anything for me. in the
Remember
way that this other thing
who
did.
else in this room remembers the first time they saw Cuphead like at
Yes.
all? And
yeah,
then-
we were
like,
all
in that
watching that
sizzle
Microsoft
reel.
conference. Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
and so
what the
you
fuck
just
was
get
that?
you get this like, what is that? I need to play that right now. I need to know everything about
Well-
it. And it came out and it nailed it.
Well, right, we're
Yes.
talking about like that's like a style thing or best looking game. The fact that like when
it's
we
also-
saw the art style, I loved the game. It's
The art-
high up on my list. But like Battlegrounds,
Like the art style is a big deal, but once you've seen it, you've seen it. Like it only goes so far.
I disagree. I think as I play it more, I'm like, I see all these new characters, I see these new locations, and like there is a sense of discovery the whole time you play it.
I was playing
And
with
think-
Vinny and I kept seeing new stuff that I'd never seen before.
Yeah, and I think the gameplay is also so good. Like, I think a lot of people probably just kind of be like, well, it's a cool looking game, whatever. I'm sure it's just like some dumb platformer, or like doesn't actually have any real depth to it. But the gameplay is so good. The gameplay is so fun. It's so satisfying. I think it's very well done.
I have very high platforming standards, and to me, Cuphead, like, no, legitimately, like, that's my favorite genre,
boy,
probably.
Here we go. Tell me about my
Vinny,
low
I get it.
standards.
as a man with lower standards, I also agree.
I think Cuphead is almost a perfect video game.
Yeah, I
At what
agree.
it's doing, yeah. But I just don't think the thing it does is as big of a scale and potentially industry changing as Battlegrounds.
What if they had married the two of them? What if they had
That art style on Battlegrounds?
and
Just slap some cell shading on Battlegrounds and call it good.
Battlegrounds
it's
a
just-
lot of mugmans.
I mean, I guess I am not. I think I said this before talking about Battlegrounds a few days back, but like to me, it's still not all that surprising that a new shooter game like clicked. Like this happens every so many years that like a thing comes out and everyone wants to play it. It's like the new thing to play.
The thing about it is, though, there is no exact science to get there. Like
No,
nobody knows
totally.
what it's going to
Yeah.
be until they make it. Like,
And it's been 10 years.
yeah.
Okay.
Also, with Cuphead, it's more than just playing the game. It's the art, it's the sound, it's the
Yeah.
music. Hey, we all agree that it has really good music, as we've discussed before. Like, it just the boss design, the animations, like it is so fresh in so many different ways. Battleground is fresh in a few ways that are key in enjoying a video game, but not as many to me. And if I'm in the minority, that's fine.
You're not. I'm right there with you, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's maybe a toss-up for me. I think the thing that maybe has me leaning toward Battlegrounds is that I feel like very much part of the reason why Battlegrounds hit so big and did what it did is because Battlegrounds is a game that feels very resonant with our times, which is to say that never has the tantalizing feeling that we will all be pitted against each other in horrible gladiatorial combat felt more for real.
It's not the direction I thought you were going with that.
And I don't know. I think the fact that people, like, you know, however many millions of people all descended on this thing, it maybe speaks to a more realistic anxiety about the way that we are all fucking, you know, headed as a society right now.
I just want to shoot
Still
cupcakes and shit.
Between
disturbed.
regressing back to our high school / early college days and the inherent racism of the inspirations for Cuphead, I think all three of these games make the same case in weird ways.
Right. I also think Cuphead, like, has also had a big debut in the sense of, like, I have family who don't know anything about games who know what Cuphead is, you know? And, like...
That is fair. I did see a lot of people I know who don't, like, play or
Yes.
care about video games talking about Cuphead.
Like, I had people asking me questions about Cuphead. Like, people who don't know games messaging me being like, what is this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that, I think, is also very big.
Yeah, but then like you could take PlayerUnknown's player base and be like, I can't believe it overtook Dota.
Yeah, like I had a
that's kind of amazing.
60-year-old man I met at a dinner thing ask me about Battlegrounds.
Like that to me was kind of huge for that game to overtake Dota on Steam, which is a free game.
The impact of that game. In some ways, we haven't yet measured the true scale of that thing's impact. You know, like it's still going to be on consoles and some
still
form
early
here.
access.
Like it's a weird. It's fucking weird.
The degree to which the Chinese player base has descended on, you know, that one clone that was going to be out on mobile, and then also, I guess, like, you know, there is now Tencent is going to publish a version of that in China. Like,
You mean like a knockoff?
I think,
Yeah, there was a knockoff, Glorious
that's
Mission,
right, I've seen
but
that,
then
yeah.
Tencent is publishing. Not only they're going to do proper Battlegrounds for China. Apparently, they're doing a mobile version of Battlegrounds for China.
yes.
Yeah, like I don't know. I go back and forth. I love Cuphead, but like the ripple effect of Battlegrounds after its debut is kind of undeniable. Like the its wake, just watching everything get consumed by, like watching Fortnite have to like stuff a battle royale mod into their game. Watching like E3 people be like doing dumb battle royale things that you're just like, don't, like, stop, don't do this.
The Chinese Call of Duty Online is getting its battle royale mode this month.
Like, there's
Yeah.
a decent chance that come next year, our Please Stop category will be trying to jam Battle Royale things into other games. And while I think that, you know, upon retrospect, that will definitely be vexing when we come to it, you can't deny what Battlegrounds ultimately started and is currently still snowballing into.
And I think it is almost, even to Ben's point, like piggybacking on that, like almost more impressive that this type of thing has been around, just kind of hovering in the shadows for people who are like big into Arma-esque mods and stuff like that, but then took this one thing to get all the pieces in the right place to make it palatable to the majority of people out there. It's a weird thing for a community to be like, yeah, we've been playing all this stuff forever over here, and like, yeah, but you had like stupid crafting in it, and somebody realized that was dumb.
Also, at some point, I would have had to buy Arma to play some of that stuff, which I don't want to do.
Okay,
It
now
wasn't
you're
by
now
ac-
you're going too far.
It wasn't by accident that this was the particular one that clicked with people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I think that's all fair. I think
It's a little academic, maybe. Like Cuphead has a real emotional charge for me of like, it sounds, looks, and
I mean,
plays great.
I feel that way about Battlegrounds. Like,
Yeah.
I felt things playing that game that I've probably never felt playing another game.
I just mean like almost on a technical level, I do recognize that Battlegrounds also has a lot of jank in it.
Yes.
And like isn't a beautiful game.
Sure.
But like
it's not fun for everybody. I don't think it's very fun to play.
it definitely is not fun for everybody. Also, I also have some of my favorite moments this year of playing games with other people as well.
I think that's all fair. I think, yeah, I prefer Cuphead. I would rather Cuphead wins. I think Cuphead still had a big impact, and I think the art style and everything will still impact the industry, not in nearly as big of a way as Battlegrounds, but like I think it still absolutely will. But yeah, I think all that stuff is fair, and I would be fine if Battlegrounds won.
If nothing else, Cuphead has shown that, you know, there's a much more broad array of ways that like players or developers can sort of go at art styles in games, and there's more you can do with animation than maybe, you know, some people gave credit for. Because I never would have thought that game would have actually been able to pull off something that actually looked like those cartoons, that didn't just have cell shading and looked kind of cartoonish, but didn't move and feel like it. But it absolutely did.
And it plays like tight. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
looking at it when even though they first announced it, you're like, well, is this just going to be some mess of animation that's going to be like terrible to play? But no, they pulled that off. Like,
Yeah.
it's very snappy.
And then weapon upgrades, I think, are smart for the most part. I think the charms, the weapon upgrades.
I think it nails everything. And I think Cuphead will have more longevity than Battlegrounds. I mean, I think Battlegrounds will impact the industry a lot, and you'll probably keep seeing these modes. But I feel like Cuphead will seem good and fresh even a few years from now in a way that Battlegrounds maybe won't.
Right, but it's not a game that's going to age the best.
No, I know.
It's its best debut.
I'm voting for Battlegrounds. I think Battlegrounds should win. But yeah.
So does that solidify it?
All right. Sounds like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the best debut.
Congratulations.
It's an honor just to be nominated.
And Cuphead and Night in the Woods get that nomination.
All right. Y'all ready to talk about style?
Oh, boy.
No.
Oh, boy.
Too late. We're in it.
Oh, arena breaking.
Not for this one.
Are we, do we have a canon number of Ys in style?
Do you need a bathroom break?
Yes.
Is that what's going on over there? All right. We're going to take a
Brad, I
break.
have to pee.
We'll be right back.